Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
And hello, everyone out there in the great state of Texas. Welcome to the original Batman on Film podcast, episode 234. We are back after a long hiatus. It's been a lot of social hours, lots of Batman animations. So Bill's been keeping it covered. Hobby's been keeping it covered. Everybody's been doing a great job, but just been a while since the original BOF podcast dropped. We got some news. We got some things to talk about. And I got a very special guest with me, Shohei Ohtani's biggest fan, Mr. Patrick Johnson, joins the show. Pat, how you doing, buddy?
That's life. That's what all the people say.
Well, you're
You're riding
serenaded.
high in April, shot down
Jeez.
in May. I'm doing wonderful. I had to give you a little bit of the what we're going to hear from the Joker. That'll
You
be
keep singing to me like that, I'm gonna have to put out.
well, I'm at 20% right here. So I'm doing okay. How about you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. We got some cool stuff to talk about. Lots of great news involving both Penguin, DC Universe, and Joker, which is literally around the corner. Next weekend, it'll be around for the public. I'm seeing on Saturday. Do you have your tickets for Joker?
Not yet. I was going to
Not
just
yet?
sneak in old school. Go to a movie
All right.
beforehand. I'm not going to pay for anything. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
No,
yeah,
I
mean,
hadn't even thought about it yet. I've been kind of busy, so everything's been.
Yeah, me and my buddies, we planned this out. We're kind of excited for it, so we're going to go see it in Manhattan. I think Lincoln Center. So we're going to make a whole event out of it. It's going to be a good time, but I'm pumped to see it. I guess we'll just start off right there with Joker. First, right off the bat, yesterday, Lady Gaga dropped a companion album called Harlequin, I believe. I gave it a listen. Patrick, you're a musician. Did you know about this album? Did you have you tuned in? Did you download it? Like, what's the story here?
I found out about it on the Facebook page, the Batman on Film fans of page. So I didn't know about it, but it doesn't surprise me that she would do an album to coincide with the release of the film. And I think what I read is it's pretty much all covers, right? Classic songs that they're going to be singing in the film.
Yeah, there's no compilations. It's all covers. That's what the article I said when I read. And to be honest with you, man, I got maybe, I want to say 3-4 songs into it. And I got to say, like, I was like shocked at what I was listening to. Cause I was like, this doesn't depress me at all. Like, I'm thinking Joker, right? I'm instantly thinking depression, sadness, right? Mental health issues. This is, I didn't get any of those vibes from this album. Which I thought was kind of funny. In fact, one of the songs was "Oh, When the Saints Come Marching In," so that was interesting. And I was like, I feel like this is an album that would come out for like the Greatest Showman sequel, as opposed to what we're going to get from Joker, which it was really hyping up my anticipation for the film. Because I'm like, well, this is completely unexpected. This is not what I thought I was going to get. I have no idea what to expect now. Like, is this going to be a happy film? The other one made me really sad at some points. So I'm just kind of like, whoa, like, I love Gaga to begin with.
Yeah.
But I was kind of shocked what I was listening to.
Yeah, I have an opinion on this. I think it's going to be musical irony. I think it's going to be happy songs overlaying something that is sad or depressing, which,
that's a good take. I like that.
Yeah, I think because as we saw from the trailers, nothing of it really looks like it's going to be upbeat or uplifting. I think it's going to have a similar tone to the one before. But that's why I started off singing.
If it was totally different.
Yeah, that's why I started off singing "That's Life" because that's I think the last song on the album. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's Entertainment is the last song on the album.
It's the same damn song. Who cares?
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's in the middle of the album. That's Life. You were correct.
Oh, cool. All right, very good. Yeah, that's why but
But
I think
I
we're in
picked it up
for a
on
treat.
iTunes. It's a 13 track album. It cost me $10. Just I had to
I
check
mean,
it
I can
out.
yeah, well, I mean, I can catch it on Spotify unless it's only on iTunes.
That
You know?
I would imagine this has got a worldwide release, right? If they're going to hype up the film,
Sure.
I can't imagine this being an exclusive to one outlet. To
Now
be
my
honest with you, they're
question
going
for
to try to
you
make the money.
is this a soundtrack companion piece to the score, and the score is a completely separate release? Or is
I
this
would
the
assume
soundtrack for
so
the
because
album?
I think that chick who did the first one was her name Greta something else. She's got some crazy name I can't pronounce,
Mhm.
but I believe she's coming back for the sequel to do the score. I think this was, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like this kind of came to Gaga later in production. I think this is kind of a recent development.
They probably recorded it over the weekend and mixed it on Monday, and now there it is.
I mean, probably knowing
No,
Gaga
I'm
and
teasing.
artists,
I'm
they
teasing.
probably just get inspired and just go do it, right? Like that's
You, you
that's what
know
it means to be
the
a thespian.
what did the cover artwork tell? What did you think about that? For the record,
Uh, I was like, I was interested. Like, is Harley going to go like rafting at some point during the movie? Like, she's wearing this.
you know what?
It looks like she's got some makeup on her face and some color in her hair, and then she's wearing this vest and a shower. So I'm not really
It
sure what to
reminded
make of the cover.
it reminded me of the line from Back to the Future. Hey Biff, this guy's wearing a life preserver. Dork here think he's gonna drown.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good call. I like that one. But I don't know. Covers to albums might as well be covers to comic books. It's I don't know what's inside, right? So,
You know, it's interesting you
but
say that because I was talking to some people today about covers to comic books. How when we were kids, you would pick them up and want to read based on what you saw on the cover. Like, oh, what's going to happen? I got to see how Batman gets out of this one. You don't really get that anymore. You know, you get covers that have nothing to do with anything in the story. It's usually just beautiful art, right?
yeah,
But as far
it's
as
just a
picking up
variant.
that right, or a variant, yeah, the golden, nude, sparkly, glittery variant, you know? You've seen a lot of those out there.
Yeah, yeah. I actually saw a cool variant for a reprint of like Crisis on Infinite Earths #5. They did one of those metallic foil variants, and I thought that was a cool idea.
Did you
So,
get it?
don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge an album by its cover. Don't judge Joker by this album. That's what I'll tell you. Because
Well, I was not trying to be judgmental. I was just curious about your thoughts.
No, I was just shocked at overall about just the sound of the album because I'm sitting there kind of like I kind of want to dance to this. Like I was like this is kind of a cool little like I feel like man, if I was going on like I don't know some kind of like a cruise ship, I would feel like I would hear this in the dining hall, right? Like it
Yeah,
just
of
sounds
course.
like really good music. I never would assume this would be associated with a superhero movie or a comic book movie such as the Joker. To be honest with you,
But is the question.
so.
Is it in name only?
Uh,
I mean, how much would we call this a superhero or comic book movie? You
That's
know?
why I correct myself. It's definitely more of a comic book movie, right? It's not really a super because there's no superheroes involved. I mean, Joker is a supervillain, but like, I don't want to. I instantly was like, that's not the right word.
Well, I
Some
mean,
moron's
even though
gonna write a review, be like, he doesn't know the difference between superheroes and
well,
villains.
even you say that, but I don't consider this superhero or comic booky at all. I think it's just using comic book elements to create a psychological character study, really. I mean, that's kind of the way I view it because I don't get
Mhm.
anything
I don't think you're
comic book
wrong.
related.
I don't think that's a wrong way to think about it. But I can't help but think Joker,
Right.
Harley Quinn, comic book characters. It's a comic book movie. Like it just is. Like not that that's a good or bad thing. It just that's what it is. It is what it is.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean,
That's my take on it.
I get that take and I respect it. I
Yeah.
respect you, Pete.
Well, not many people do, and that's because they're stupid.
Well, that goes without saying.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
Just continuing with the Joker theme here, we got some Joker tidbits. Joker 2 will be released in China. It has been confirmed for October 16th in the Chinese market. Even though it is rated R, it did pass China's censorship. The last one did not because of obviously the Joker being a bad guy. They don't really like Suicide Squad didn't even release in China. They don't, if I'm not mistaken, they don't really like villains in that movie in that area. They think it kind of promotes bad stuff. So whatever. I thought that was interesting. That'll be good for the box office. Joker 1 made $1 billion without it. I can only imagine what they'll do with China.
Huge. And do you remember how much Aquaman made with China? Aquaman 1?
Yeah,
I looked it up.
I think China saved Aquaman 1, to be honest with you.
292 million. China alone, which is insane. Now, I don't know if this is going to have the same type of appeal that something like Aquaman did, but hey, it can only help, right?
I'm curious. I know this is obviously Joker 2, right? But if have they never seen Joker 1 at all? Like that's interesting because like for that audience, this might be the first time any of them have laid eyes on this kind of project.
That's a good question. It's probably good that it's a musical related or musical adjacent. Then
that might have helped it pass.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'm just curious, like, if I've seen some reviews and I've seen some people compare, like, oh, it's not that much different than the first film. But if you never saw the first film, maybe you walk out of this thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. Like not saying it won't be, but like if you don't know if you don't have anything to reference it to.
I imagine that there has to be some of the population in China has seen the first film. I just don't see how they couldn't have. It would be interesting for someone.
I'm not breaking the law in China. I'll tell you that much.
No, of course not.
Here's the reason why I stay stateside, my friend.
Hey man, you're one of the smart ones.
Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to hang out. I've always wanted to check out Japan, though. Always wanted to check out Tokyo Dome, see the Giants play.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I'd love to see. Japanese baseball is really fascinating to me. So that's always something I wanted to try.
The food over there too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to try like authentic Japanese food.
Yeah, to see
China, I'll stick with the American Garden down the street. That's about as close as I'm going to get to Cantonese cuisine. But yeah, I'm happy for it. I mean, it can only mean good things. I hope this thing does gangbusters. I really do. I think it's good for the genre to do different things. And you've preached that. I've preached that. Bill's preached that. Kind of go this way, not necessarily the, psychological route that Joker went, but more along the lines of let's not try to do something everybody else is doing. Let's try to do something a little bit more fresh and different. And that's why I will support Joker. I think that's really great. And I hope that, I wish Todd Phillips and the cast and crew all the best on this one. Yeah. And
I really enjoyed the first one, but I will admit that it's not necessarily a fun watch. And it's not a watch that I watch. I don't watch it a lot. You know what I mean?
I honestly can't remember the last time I rewatched it. I watched it after I bought it, and then I watched it maybe like a month later or after the home release. Mm-hmm. I probably due for a rewatch before I see the new one. That's probably what I should do.
Right.
But I'm with you, man. It's not. Joker's a heavy film. I've said it numerous times. I'm sure I'm not the only one who says it, but it's heavy, man. It weighs a lot on you.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable viewing experience to a degree. I mean, maybe not as uncomfortable as Cannibal Holocaust, but it's.
I was going to lean towards Human Centipede, but okay. That might have been the most uncomfortable I ever was in any sort of theater, stage, play, any sort of concert venue. That's the most uncomfortable I've ever been anywhere.
Well, I tell you what, when off mic, I'm going to tell you a story about that.
Okay, great. We live in a world where Human Centipede has a trilogy, and Henry Cavill Superman does not. So remember, we live in that world,
right?
But yeah, like it's just, the thing about Joker is for me is it's just so different from everything else we've ever seen, and I can't help but hope that that's where DC Comics kind of goes in the future. I doubt it's going to happen because we've got some shared universe stuff to talk about. But man, even though this isn't really my jam or what I was kind of expecting, and I didn't think we needed a sequel either. Like Joker 2, right. I thought Joker 2, I thought probably would be best as not made. But, right. I'm glad that Phillips has an idea. I'm glad they didn't force it out of him. Because he's also said he's not interested in doing a third movie.
Yeah, he said all he wants to say, and that's
Yeah,
probably for the best.
Yeah, I kind of get nervous because not that I doubt Todd Phillips, but like anybody else, I need to pay my bills, and
It's true.
Warner Brothers likes to write fat checks. So
Right.
Phillips actually had some interesting quotes in regards to his Joker meeting a Batman, and I thought that was fascinating. I think these are Phillips quotes here. I think Arthur's always had a fascination with men at ease. He's not a man at ease. Robert De Niro, Murray Franklin in the first movie was a man at ease. He's probably he probably saw the guy he worked with as with Menzies, and then he sees. I'm sorry. He probably saw the guys he worked with as men at ease, and that was one thing Arthur could not be, was a man at ease. That's interesting. Calling Batman, just the absence of Batman in the movie, how he would be kind of astonished by Batman, and how he probably. It's an interesting thing because I don't consider this Joker as someone who could take on a Batman, right?
No.
Even though there is a Bruce Wayne in this world, I see this Joker as more of a, I don't know, like a cult leader. More of a social presence. Really?
Yeah. That's a good assessment. But yeah, no, he wouldn't be a match for Batman. But I can totally see him looking up to anyone that has more confidence than him, can do the things that he wishes he could do, because he wanted to be a comedian. He just wanted to make people laugh, but because of his condition, he couldn't pull it off, and then he became sort of a laughing stock. But is Batman a man at ease? I never thought he was a man at ease. Maybe the Bruce Wayne presence would be like
I think that's it. Like Joker sees men at ease in his world. Batman is not a man at ease, so therefore he can't deal with him. Like he can kind of take advantage of a guy at ease. That's where Joker can kind of pull his shtick out and kind of go, whereas he can't do that with Batman because Batman would just pummel him.
Right. Batman would never let his guard down. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Okay. When I first read the quote, I had the reverse idea.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you could have interpreted it differently than I would.
No. I was just saying that Batman's not a man at ease, but if you're saying that's was his initial intent with that comment, I get it now. Okay.
He also and we did just mention the fact that Phillips says he's done after 2, but there's another quote in this IGN article that I found very interesting. It goes, "It'd be interesting to see someone do a Batman movie in this vein that follows that guy 10 years later or whatever. If he's 12 or 11, they're there, and okay, 15 years later, he becomes Batman in that world. Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting." That to me sounds like a guy who has an idea, but I feel like he's waiting to see how this movie's received.
Well, I really wish he hadn't said that, because even if he does quit, that's going to leave that kind of idea open for someone else to run with it. And I doubt Joaquin Phoenix would be involved if Todd Phillips wasn't involved. But
yeah,
that's,
I mean, Phoenix is notorious for not even doing sequels, right?
This is his first sequel, correct?
Yeah, so I don't know if he would do it without Phillips, but I'm starting to question whether, what if this movie is just well received by everyone financially and by the audience and the critics. I mean, I could see Warner Brothers putting the pressure on him. I can.
Well, let me ask you a question. What's the budget for this movie? Do you know? Because I heard it was pretty. It was like at least double or maybe even triple maybe not triple, but I heard it was like
because of the bump that Phoenix got and the addition of Gaga. It cost more than the first one. Off the top of my head, I don't know the numbers.
The last number I heard was like $200 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard. I don't know if that's correct.
And the first one didn't cost nearly that much.
The first one was like 60 or 8 to 80, somewhere around there, which is why it was so profitable, because it just kept doubling its,
No, now
budget.
This is like a legit superhero movie.
Right.
It's a tentpole. Right.
So the chances of it making the same amount ratio-wise to the first one is it's really going to be difficult because the budget's so high, right?
I think it's impossible.
Yeah.
Like it's just not going to get the return on investment the last one got. It can't.
Yeah, the last one got like 12 times the budget back. And then this one, if it gets 5, it'll be a success. But, with 200 million, you're looking at, you really need close to $1 billion. And, sequels, if you're Marvel or Star Wars, you can pull in that much. I don't know about DC sequels. I hope
That's a valid point. And don't forget, like, again, Joker 1 made $1 billion, made a ton of money back. And post Deadpool and Wolverine, I think all these studios are like, that's it. The genre's back. We got it. We're ready to go. Like, I could just see the greedy CEOs just foaming at the mouth, thinking that everyone's going to come back and give them money hand over fist once again. So I'm not sure. I don't trust greedy CEOs or guys in suits at all.
No.
They're probably our biggest enemies as fans, because they just care about the bottom line instead of what's actually important for the character or the genre itself. You know, they got to make their money.
And for the creators, they don't always have the creators' interests at heart. They really don't.
Oh, well,
we've heard all the horror stories about producers stepping in and screwing things up. I mean, it's just
even recently with Venom 3, Donnie Cates, I forget what his name is.
Cates,
the guy who created the villain for Venom 3 in the comic books. He wasn't even told that they were using his creation in a movie. He found out when he saw the trailer. So,
that's
studios
awful.
are greedy, man. Studios are dirty. A lot of people with a lot of money, you know.
Yeah.
As you could tell from recent headlines in the news, when you got money, you do a lot of weird shit.
Well, you know, thank goodness for like creator-owned IPs out there these days, where the creators can really see the best return on their intellectual property. You know.
Yeah, you know, it's just. I hope those guys get, because you know they're not making mega bucks either. You know, like
true.
I know.
Well, you look at someone like Robert Kirkman, who created The Walking Dead, and then he got to do the show, and now he's doing Skybound with the Transformers and GI Joe and everything, and that's what you aspire to with some of those creator-owned properties. So
yeah, I mean, it was a local writer, Chris Condon. He did right now he's doing some Marvel stuff, but he did that Texas Blood, which was an indie comic. And I believe he was in the process of like figuring out film rights and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, you know, he's like, they're probably going to screw this up, but I got to take this money. And you know, I was like, I can't blame you. You know,
yeah, no,
I cannot blame you at all.
Yeah,
so
it opens the doors.
I'm all
for
about
a lot
creators
more
getting their
for you.
due.
Oh, absolutely,
and especially when they get older too, because guys like Neil Adams, he didn't make mega bucks either, and he was living off his name and signatures and signing merch and cons and stuff. So it's tough out there for everybody.
Sure.
Our next topic here is a topic near and dear to my heart. It is something that I've been anticipating for the longest time, and as we're recording on Saturday, tomorrow I believe we get a new episode. That is Penguin has finally dropped. Patrick, I talked about this with Bill, but I would like you to just take the floor, talk about Penguin a little bit, give us your 2 cents, what you liked about it. This is your time for your review.
Okay, excellent. I was not really prepared for what I was going to see. I expected the first episode to be a little more set up, but it just jumped right into the action from the get-go. And I love that. I love when you're just thrown in the thick of something. And the stuff that happened in the Batman, that's glossed over very quickly, and they don't dwell upon that, but it's there. I thought all the characters were well written. You had good exploration of those characters. You got new characters, but you learned who they were very quickly. And it's hard not to like Colin Farrell's Penguin. I mean, even when he's doing stuff that is, you could consider it evil, you could consider it bad, you could consider it wrong, whatever. He's just so damn likable. And I thought it had great suspense, great tension, and had a bit of it almost had a cliffhanger ending, but then they gave you the sigh of relief because you realized, are we talking spoilers or not? I'm trying to censor myself.
Yeah, we're a whole 2 weeks out, dude. Spoil the hell out of us.
Okay, all right. So yeah, the fact that he's able to get out of that sticky situation at the end and you kind of relax for a bit is great because it's setting up for what's about to come. The whole sort of how he's framing Maroni again, or Maroni was framed once, now he's getting framed again, I thought hysterical. But I didn't
brilliant
realize that's where they were going when he put the ring on the table. I was like, okay. And then you get what you got. And I'm like, this is fantastic. I think it's great writing. Now I only have one nitpick. My only nitpick was it's very bright. So it's a complete contrast to the Batman movie, which was dark, rainy, cloudy days the whole time until the last sequence when the flood happens and then the sun comes out. Well, it keeps that. And while Penguin's driving around during the day, they'll have some shots of the car where it's like there's no light blocking at all. It's just super bright. But then they cut to the inside and it's really dark. Now, maybe the tinted windows, sure, but it almost looks like dark Gotham outside, but it's super bright and sunny. That's the only thing that I felt was just tiny bit inconsistent, but that may be done on purpose. It's not really a complaint.
I took at it as the Batman movies come from Batman's point of view, right? Which would obviously be at nighttime, probably the dark, gloomy stuff. And now we're getting this chance to really to get a good look at Gotham during the daytime. And I feel like that's the contrast. It's a part of Gotham we don't see. Like, Batman, you were right. It's dark, it's gloomy, it's all that. But I feel like that's because we're always seeing Batman in the movie, right? Like we never really see Batman during the day until like the very end. So that's how I took that.
I guess it can be, the Batman movie, the weather and the color scheme, could be metaphorical to his character. And there was only a couple shots.
You're really getting deep here, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only a couple shots in the daylight, but even those, aside from the ending, it was really dark, right? It was gloomy, except for when he gives him the blueberries, there's like bright sun coming in. But you're right. This is different. This is showing us Gotham during the day. And what I did think about was a line from the Batman when he says that I can't be everywhere at once. I have to pick my battles, carefully. And so we're seeing all this stuff. The Penguin's shooting and taking care of a body, and Batman's not there to save the day. So shit's going to happen, and Batman's just not going to be there because there's crime all the time in Gotham, right? Especially daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter. So stuff's going to happen.
That's why sidekicks are so important because they can cover the ground Batman misses. That's why we need Robin.
Robin Givens?
Or Dick Grayson.
Robin Williams?
Well, he's not coming around anytime soon.
No,
he's not getting his Riddler. He's not getting his Riddler gig. That's for sure. Me personally, I loved everything, but there's not much I really would change about the Penguin, other than the comparisons to the Sopranos. Outside of just overweight gangsters eventually talking with their mother, I don't think this has much in common with the Sopranos at all. I think people are making that comparison just out of sheer laziness. Like, have you guys not watched anything Mafia related since then? I'm very curious.
Or before then.
I just I don't really see the Sopranos comparisons, and I love the Sopranos, and I think you're doing the Penguin a disservice because Sopranos is arguably one of the greatest TV shows of all time. The Penguin doesn't need to be that; it just needs to be just entertaining television.
Yeah, so, at no point did I think about a different mafia or mob movie and think, oh man, this is just like that. Oh, they're homaging this, or they're ripping off that. I didn't think that at all. I thought it was great original storytelling.
Yeah, I never once sat there and watched it during my viewing and said, "Oh, this reminds me of Sopranos." It just doesn't. I was like, I'd be saying about everything mafia and gang related. Then I'd be comparing everything to The Godfather and Goodfellas, right? Like Casino,
of course. Yeah,
it just fits so well within that genre. I love it. I love what they're doing with Oz, and I've said this multiple times. The way he can weasel his way out of any situation, I think is fascinating.
Right.
I see a lot of similarities between the TV show within one episode and the comic book, The Penguin, that just wrapped up by Tom King. That was a 12-issue run. I would imagine there will be a trade probably by November, December, just in time for Christmas. So if you didn't read that, I highly suggest you read that. Definitely set in the world of comic book Batman, but still a wonderful take on the Penguin and what he does. And to be honest, Pat, there's a little bit of Oswaldo in the Penguin, the comic book that happens in the last couple issues. So,
excellent.
I'm all for that. And it's to be a Penguin fan right now, you're eating good. Crusader was a cool new take. I was all down for that. We have, like I said, the 12-issue run by Tom King, and now we have this TV show and this movie version of Penguin. And I will defend Danny DeVito's Penguin until the end of time. But this is the Colin Farrell Penguin is my Penguin. This is totally my jam.
There you go. I will say that you can certainly tell this is told from a different voice. The writers for this show, I think they have multiple writers, if I remember correctly. It doesn't feel as much Matt Reeves as it does someone else, but that's totally fine because this is open to that interpretation. Obviously, Matt Reeves is on board for this and approves it, so it's great. Was one other point I was going to make about it, but it slipped my mind. But I'm all in on this one. Great.
Yeah. I'm with you. Casting was great. The mother was great. Victor was great. Farrell was great. And Sophia was great. So,
yeah, there was no
big fan of everything, to be honest with you.
There was no weak link in the show that I saw. Even the little cameo people that were in and out it was all strong. Good casting.
And I'm very impressed with Clancy Brown. I thought he did a wonderful job as Maroney. That voice is intimidating no matter what role he does.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know what it was. I'm glad they showed his disability, his club foot. I thought that was a great, just a small, brief. This is why he walks this way. You get it. Mm-hmm. It looks painful. Every night he has to kind of massage his foot or whatever to get some relief.
And that's something we don't get a whole lot of in the Batman. Even the waddle itself, you have to look for it in order to see it, right?
Right.
At least I didn't notice him waddle that much. They open it up with the show, and then they as he's walking up the steps to see his girlfriend there, mm-hmm. Eve. You get to see the brace on his foot, and then you actually get to see his foot. And I'm like, oh man, that thing's hideous.
Right.
Have you ever seen Shaq's foot?
Yes, actually, I saw him when his daughter painted his toenails one time in a little spoof video that he did. Okay. They look like he's been kicking concrete blocks for years or something. It looks.
Yeah, that's what I thought of when I saw the penguin. I was like, this reminds me of Shaq's foot, just not fat. Well, excuse me, Shaq's foot isn't fat.
Right.
But they tease each other on that TNT pre-post halftime show all the time. So his foot makes an appearance at least once a year. So that's how I know about that. But I thought that I didn't. I mean, just the fact that they went there.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they all do. That's why it sucks that Warner Brothers wasn't able to coin up the cash. Old Zaslav dropping the ball there. Penguin, the biggest 4-day audience for a new series on Max in every region globally since The Last of Us in January of 2023. It averaged 5.3 million across the United States for opening weekend. Also, cool tidbit here. Viewership of the Batman has increased 3.5% of all accounts since the Penguin has dropped. So I think these numbers are great. In order to quote Justin Kowalski, the Batman ain't it is completely wrong. I want to get that off my chest. I literally just recorded this podcast to quote Justin one more time because he's insane. And I think people are tuning in. I think people see the quality. I don't think this is going away. If anything, I really got a feeling that if the Penguin does what it does leading up into the next movie, I think we're going to get Matt Reeves to stay around for a little bit longer. I think he might have a little bit more fun than he's actually planned on having. So I'm really excited for this, man. I really am.
Oh yeah. Has there been any actual legitimate critical complaint on that first episode? I haven't heard any. I just wanted to see.
No, it's mostly been fanboy bullshit. Oh, he's not wearing the monocle. There's no top hat. They shortened his name. He's not wearing a tuxedo. It's all just.
I get it.
Yeah, it's all just guys who literally can't say anything negative because the show's so great. That's all it is. They're coming up with bullshit. Sorry.
Well, if they want all that, tell them to go watch Batman 66. It's got all that for them.
I mean, if look,
you want the monocle, you want all that
66. And that's great because you want to know something. For that time, that was definitive Penguin. That's who he was. That's who the character was. He was a joke. Opening up an umbrella store. After 5 seasons of Gotham, this was needed. Gotham was a complete and utter embarrassment. It is a disgrace to Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything they did with that Penguin was atrocious.
I call it an abomination. That's what Gotham is, an abomination.
That's too good of a word for it. It's just, it's so sad. It is. I feel bad calling it abomination. It's a disgrace. It's an utter disgrace.
I'll tell you what we say in the South, Peter. I despise that Gotham show.
I despise it with all my heart. I will never say anything positive about it. Because overall I have this theory. It's just like bad content creates bad fans. And I think we've lived through that. We lived through the Snyder era and that group of psychos. And while the Gotham people aren't as crazy as the Snyder people, I think they're just as delusional because it's not good.
Right.
Like, I don't want to see anyone praise Cameron Monaghan's fake Joker. Sorry, it's like, no. Are you kidding me?
Well, I got 2 words for you: Fish Mooney.
You know,
terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, that was bad. Everything about it. I will say season 1's probably the best season. Season 5 was okay, but everything in between was garbage. I mean, it was just hot garbage. Did you watch any of that stuff?
I got through season 3. I checked out on the first episode of season 4. I didn't tune back in until the final episode with the Batman hearing.
I made it to season 2, episode 2, and I cut out. And then when they announced season 5, I wanted to piss off Holzman, so I made him rewatch the show with me to do a show every week. So I binge watched it, and then he watched season 5. And so that was the precursor to my podcast career. That's the only good thing Gotham ever did, was it got me started in podcasting.
Well, this goes back to exactly what I was talking about in the group. The Penguin is the Batman-less show where you don't miss Batman. It's a Batman show without Batman, but you don't miss him. You invested in the Penguin and the Penguin's characters. But in the Gotham show, so much dumb crap was going on. I just, are we going to get to Batman or not? No? Okay, great.
And Gotham's also not it. Titans is another example of bad Batman TV.
Oh, God.
The second season of Titans is essentially Gotham City sidekicks.
Oh, yes.
And I'll tell you, you say Batman-less Batman TV shows. That was a Batman-less TV show that made me want Batman in it. I don't want Batman in the Penguin, essentially, because I'm having fun watching him create chaos within his circle of, degenerates.
Right.
You know what it is, I was watching Titans, I was like, man, can you guys just put Batman in his suit? And then they made that old guy Bruce Wayne, and eventually they killed him at some point. I'm like, I consider Brian Edward Hill a very good friend of my show and me. And it's just like, man, Brian, this ain't it. To quote Justin Kowalski, this ain't it.
Well, the problem with all the other shows we're talking about is their focus is all over the place. This is the Penguin. He's the focus. It's all him and the little circle of people around him. And that is much better storytelling when you can invest in a small group of characters rather than the entire Titans group that's going to get, you're going to get a little bit of Starfire, a little bit of Superboy, a little bit of Robin, and no one's going to get a whole lot of character development because there's too many tangents they're going on every week. Same thing with Gotham. Anyway, the Penguins is where it's at.
It's funny because, like, when I look at the Penguin, and you mentioned focus and Matt Reeves, and that's what I've been saying from the get-go. Matt Reeves is focused on Batman. That's it.
Right.
Batman and his world. And where I get a little nervous with this whole James Gunn stuff is he's got to have his hands in everything. Feige style. Like, I got to check up on this. I got to check up on that. I'm directing Superman. I'm editing Superman. I'm also doing Creature Commandos. I'm like, at some point, I'm just wondering, like, are you going to run yourself a little thin? Whereas Matt Reeves is just solely focused. He did his movie. Him and Tomlin are writing a movie. He put together this TV show. It just seems like step by step, he's taking his time and he's really crafting a wonderful piece of art.
I agree with you, but I don't think James Gunn necessarily has his hands in Matt Reeves' Batman.
No, that's the one thing he doesn't have his hands in. I'm just talking about his DC universe in general.
Right. Well,
he's got a lot to think about.
Oh yeah, I thought you were indicating that he's trying to get involved.
No.
Just
well. These are totally separate.
He's
I know
way
that.
The hell out. Yeah.
He's got to worry about his Green Lanterns and what's going on here in this movie and the Supergirl movie, like that. Those slate of films, that's a huge responsibility, and I do think he's the right man for the job. But I'm just like, man.
Well, this is a great segue into one of the other topics you were going to talk about here.
Yes, a very interesting topic, which to be honest, when I first heard this news, I was actually going in a completely different direction. The Hollywood Reporter broke a story last night, very late, that Warner Brothers, DC Films, is in development of a Bane and Deathstroke movie. This is a duo that I didn't really see coming, and I thought to myself, Bane. I was like, oh, Bane and Deathstroke. They're doing like Joker style movies about Bane and Deathstroke, and then I kept reading the article further, and this is going to be more of a DC Universe type deal. And me personally, I'm like, I don't know if those two guys can sell a movie. You know, just thinking out loud as a fan. Like, I know a lot about Bane. I know a lot about Deathstroke. I've read a fair amount of both characters, and I'm just trying to figure out where the common ground is. But is this a versus movie? Are they teaming up? I don't know. But to me, when I first heard it, I instantly thought Joker, and then I read the article, and it wasn't okay. That's not what this is. But I'm sitting here like, this is just this is an interesting concept. I wonder where this is going, because is this kind of like the Teen Titans movie we heard about a few months ago? We haven't heard anything since they announced it. It seems to be this way that Warner Brothers used to do things. We're going to announce this project. We're going to see if it gains traction on social media, and then we'll take it from there. That's kind of how I figure these things go, is they want to generate audience interest, so they kind of tease us a little bit. I'm wondering what your thoughts are, Pat.
My thoughts are it would be very painful for everyone involved. It's going to be very painful for everyone involved, is what I'm thinking. My honest thoughts are. Do you remember how many projects they announced when James Gunn took over? It was like 10, right? It was phase one, Gods and Monsters. Right.
So plans have changed?
Now, okay, we know plans have changed, but as you remember what happened when they announced like 100 DC projects around the Man of Steel era, right?
The Sujihara era, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think unfortunately we're in the exact same boat where they are trying to get word of mouth and investors excited about the projects they're taking on and raising their stock so they can possibly have another merger or sell or something like that. I've been
hearing sell a lot. I hear sell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's even more interesting than another merger of sorts. To me, I have no faith in anything DC on film aside from Matt Reeves's Batman and what we're getting with the Penguin right now. I know we're getting Superman because we've seen, that it's filmed, it's wrapped, but even when they did Batgirl, we didn't get that. So there's not that it's going to get shelved, but I have no faith in announcing announcing 1,000 things and get everyone excited just like you did last time, only to have it be sold and then 90% of what was on the slate gets canned,
Well, at the height of the DCU, it seems like they were announcing projects that just, I remember specifically a solo Harley Quinn movie that we never got, right? Which probably ended up becoming Birds of Prey at some point. And then there was the Harley Quinn Joker team up movie, and then even a solo Jared Leto Joker movie with that announced. And then they announced Joker, like the Todd Phillips Joker, like a week later. I'm with you, man. I think they just announced these things to gauge interest.
Absolutely. And remember they originally had a Green Lantern Corps movie they were going to do. And then for a while they were talking about Jack Kirby's New Gods movie that they were kicking that around.
And it was a Duvernay, whatever her name is.
Yeah. And there was a Nightwing movie they were talking about at times. Just on and on and on.
By Mr. McKay, who did the Lego Batman film. Yeah.
And you and I have heard Bill say it 1,000 times, like, stop announcing stuff if you don't have the green light, because you're gauging interest.
My
you
whole
might want
thing
to sell,
about this is people freaked out on the last regime when that regime did this. Do people not freak out on James Gunn doing this because he's just on Twitter telling them it's going to be okay? Like, do you need that false sense of assurance that, okay, the guy who's doing this, he says it's going to be fine, it's going to be made? I mean... we haven't heard anything about Brave and Bold, right? Like, I'm just saying, they announced stuff. They're not doing anything any differently. You just happen to like the person in charge more than the last two guys in Sujihara and Hamada.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, James Gunn is
that's what it is.
Yeah, James Gunn's a filmmaker, and he wants to make films, and he wants to be a success, and we all want him to be a success. But my real question for him would be, why do I need to get invested in the DCU when there's a chance the rug's going to be pulled out from under us again? Remember when
Yeah,
they did
I
the
can't
exact
say I don't
same
have any
thing.
faith in him until I see Superman.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is how I kind of view it. I'm a short-term pessimist, long-term optimist. So in the on the short term, I'm like, I'll wait and see. But I want them to succeed down the road. I don't want to see these creatives fail. I don't want to see what
They
happened with
need
the
to succeed,
DCU.
Pat. If Superman fails, I think it's going to be horrible for the character. I think it may be the last straw.
It will
in my
it
opinion.
would definitely be if that movie is not a success, you'll see the DCU wrap in a couple films. They might do one or two more, maybe. But yeah, you're
You'll
right.
get
That
your
has to
Supergirl
be
movie because it's Superman adjacent, but I think that's as far as it'll go if this thing tanks.
yeah. And what do you think? Because we haven't talked about or me and you haven't talked about it. What do you think about all these superheroes in the movie prior to Superman? It's kind of the reverse. Superman was the first, and then the other heroes came. Now it's all the heroes are there, and Superman comes into this
I've
world.
always look. I'm a big comic book guy, so in my head, the Justice Society comes before the Justice League and Superman. You have Alan Scott, you have Jay Garrick, you have the original Mr. Terrific doing their thing in the era before Superman. So I come from the school that the JSA took care of crime and justice before the Justice League and Superman arrived. That's how my brain works in comic book continuity.
Okay, that's
You know?
fair. That's fair. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that the angle here is that the heroes on Earth all work. They're employed as superheroes, and that Superman comes in to show them there's a better way, and you don't have to just do it for money or everything like that. That's kind of the thing
Yeah,
I think.
I have a similar thought for this. I kind of think that Lex Luthor has kind of created a team under his, for lack of a better word, employment. And
Sure.
Superman's like, no, you guys can freelance and you guys can do this. Like, I kind of feel like he's going to inspire them in a way like that. So we have like similar thinking. I don't know if they're all
Okay.
like, heroes for hire, right? So to speak.
Right.
But I imagine Lex has got his little group of people because he's probably got something dirty on him or something. Because, again, like all fans speculation because I have no idea what this movie's about. We don't know anything other than who's in it and who's casting what.
Yeah,
We have
this
no
is
idea about the
pure
plot
speculation.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the
I can only go by what
uniform.
I've seen. And that only comes from talking to other fans and seeing, the set pics, unfortunately, of these other heroes in what looks like some sort of like uniform. Not a superhero uniform, but like a company uniform. Like they work for like LexCorp Security or something, right?
Right. You took the words right out of my mouth. The pictures that we saw, each of them seemed to have something that made them have some sort of unity, like a uniform, like you're saying. So that was my thought. So we're in a similar boat there.
So I'm curious. I mean, again, I want James Gunn to succeed. I don't want people. I know people are like, you're always so down. I'm like, yeah, well, because I think this could, if this doesn't work out, it could be the end for Superman. I don't need that. I need Superman to flourish. I need the Man of Steel to carry on.
Despite some of the crazy stuff I post online, and most of the time I'm doing it just for fun, just for anyone out there listening that reads the Facebook page. I really like James Gunn. He's an old punk rocker, rock and roller. So when he talks about things, and he's got a great sense for music to put in his movies, and the way he writes, the way he directs, it's all very character based and character development. I've actually never seen a James Gunn movie that I didn't enjoy. I mean, even the second Guardians, which gets
the only one I think is Guardians 2 for me.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it because I enjoyed Kurt Russell. I love him, Snake Plissken all the way. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
yeah. Oh God, I love those movies.
Yeah, of course. So I've got no beef with James Gunn. I wish him all the success in the world.
Yeah, all I got to say is this isn't how I would have done it. But then again, that's why I'm not in Hollywood. Yeah. That's it. That's it. I wouldn't have done it this way, but there's a reason why James Gunn gets the big bucks and he's married to Miss Harcourt.
Pete, the word is yet. You're not in Hollywood yet.
Yeah, that's it.
They're going to come calling. They're going to come calling. Yeah.
It's like, this jackass from New Jersey, he runs his mouth really well. Let's get him on the radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
You need your own
Can
talk
you
show.
piss off
Pete, is
people
what
by
you
saying
need.
stupid things? Of course I can.
Yeah. You need a late night talk show, just like Murray. Just don't get shot.
Well, okay. I guess I'll have to have it in. I'll have to have my talk show based in New York. Strict gun laws.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not?
I'll be like Carson. They're all those big time guys shoot out of New York anyway, right?
Do
Do they still do it? Or are they out in LA now?
I think so. Where's the Tonight Show?
I have no
That's in
idea. I
LA.
don't watch that stuff.
That's in LA. Yeah. I think Jimmy.
To be honest, man, I don't think I've watched those things since Leno.
I don't know if I'd admit
And it's only
that
because
on
my
air.
parents watched them and I was just sitting there,
I could Leno. Okay, I'm not going to say anything.
I mean,
I was a Letterman guy, and then I liked Conan. I liked those two guys.
I'll say this: Leno's got a great car collection. I think he actually has a Batmobile or two, if I'm not mistaken.
Surprise me. Wouldn't surprise. You've seen Doug Flutie's Batmobile, right?
Doug Flutie doesn't have a Batmobile. Doug Flutie has a Bat Cave in his garage, which is phenomenal.
True. That's true. But you know what? He says he's not that big a fan, and I'm like, that is bullshit. There's no way you can't be, that big a fan.
His modesty is something that a lot of people should attain.
But is it modest to say you're not that big of a fan, but you have a freaking Batcave? I mean, come on. I don't think that's modest.
He drives around in the 60. I think he has two Batmobiles. I think one is actually functional. I think the other one's a shell. I believe he has, obviously has the 66 because that's what he grew up on. That's his favorite.
And
but I believe he has like a shell of the Anton First car as well.
Yeah, 89. Yeah. I would turn that into some sort of like jacuzzi if it's not driving anywhere.
There is a group on Facebook. I'll invite you to it. It's like Batmobiles, shells or something like that, or fiberglass casings or whatever. And Pat, there are people out there selling the casing for the car. All you have to do is, put the motor and the wheels on it. But there are people out there selling the body of the car, and all you got to do is put the framework in. And I'm just kind of like, that sounds like a steal to me. Like $3,000 just for the Batmobile. Like, to be honest, I'll just put some tires on it and put it in my backyard. I don't really care. I just need to drive.
Nice.
I'm worried for that, but I was like, I'll buy the shell of the car. Sure, why not?
Dude, I was in this little town in Louisiana called Hammond, which is about 40 miles from where I am now. There's I was out there filming the show called The Thing About Pam with Renee Zellweger, and one day this 66 Batmobile just drives up to set, and it parks right across the street. And I was like in holding, and I just told everyone, look, y'all, I'm sorry, I got to go. And I just ran. I ran across the street, and I was just fanboying it up, talking to the owner, and he was letting me take pictures and all that stuff. And then I ran back, and I was like, I know I needed to be at work, but I needed that 5 minutes, man. I just needed it. Because he was one of those guys that he got a kit, He got a kit and put it together.
A friend of mine, Jackie, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, she got a guy from Vermont to drive his 66 Batmobile down so her husband could drive it around the block for his birthday. I was like, that is the greatest present I've ever heard of in my life.
Oh man, I wonder
how
how
you got
fast...
to drive it around the block. It came to you.
That's right. I wonder how fast you can get those things up to. I guess it depends on what kind of engine you put in there, right? Or is it?
I don't know. Oh, man,
you could drop a V8 in there and kick that up.
What does a Ford Future go for?
Is it Future or Future?
Like, what was the engine in that car originally?
If I remember correctly, it didn't get like past 50 or 60 miles an hour when they were filming it. Maybe because it was so damn
were the parachutes necessary? Were they?
Probably not. You could probably just let off the gas a little bit. You don't even have to hit the brake going to that speed.
As someone who did not like 66 for a while because it wasn't dark and brooding Batman, I have recently, within the last few years, gone back and rewatched it, the whole series at some point. And I'm just sitting there like, it gets a little over the top in season 3, but that first season, that's about as good as Batman as you could really hope for, coming from, daytime television, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, man. I mean, season 3, the budgets obviously got slashed big time. So you could see it in the sets, but I am a massive 66 fan. I like I like everything in between, but 66 and Matt Reeves as the Batman, those are my jams. I mean, probably because they're complete polar opposites, but
But
that's
there's
what
a lot of 66 in Batman. Reeves loves 66. You could see
which
it.
is absolutely, which is part of my love for it as well. And I mean, I discovered 66 about a year before Batman 89 came out. So I
Okay.
was watching the reruns on TV and I really enjoyed it. But what I love about that show is it works on the two levels, right? Little kids take it seriously, adults are getting all the humor and laughing at it and all that stuff. And I said this the other day, without Adam West, without that show, things would be much different today. I mean, you would probably still have
It's
your
a
dark,
fact. Without that show, there's no Batman. That's it.
right,
Batman's done without Adam West. He's as
right.
important as 89.
Yeah, he lived his whole life as Batman, even when he wasn't working and when he was struggling to find work. Everyone knew him as Batman, and it pretty much provided a career for him his whole life, although it was typecast. But he did more for Batman on film. I'm not talking about the website. I'm talking about Batman for what was
Yes.
to come
Not
than anybody else.
Batman-on-film.com.
No, not that one, but just Batman films in general. Because without that, without Michael, Mr. Uslan, wanting to do a dark and serious Batman because he didn't like the fact he thought they were making fun of Batman, and we've heard the story a bunch. Would you get the same
I could
type
listen
of?
to that man tell the same stories over and over again. Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, that's the mark of a good
Yeah.
storyteller, right? And he's a great storyteller.
What I love about 66 the most is, honestly, Pat, it is a true Batman period piece.
Absolutely.
It's as 60s as it gets, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's
totally
fascinating
agree.
to me because it's just a time capsule. It's
Yeah.
there. It embraces the era and everything that the 60s was and at the height of it. And
Yeah.
you put it on and you watch Dark Knight and it's very 2000s. You kind of watch Batman 89. You're like, I see a little 40s, I see a little 50s in there, right? But like 66, it fully embraces the time period in which it was made, and I love that.
The groovy 60s, absolutely. And
Yeah,
if
man,
anyone ever
I love the groovy
complains,
60s.
if anyone ever complains that they've never had a comic accurate Batman, go back and watch, like you're saying, season 1 and 2 of that. It is literally the comics on the screen, even to the word bubbles. Balloons. I mean, the only thing you might not have is inner monologue narration from the characters. But I mean, it's pop culture. I can't think of too many.
I always feel that's what Batman's doing when he's talking out loud, though, in the show. Right? When he's sitting there, I'm like, who is he really talking to? Is he talking to Robin, or is this like a monologue?
Yeah, no, I have to agree. There's a great one. Where it's a Bookworm episode where he's trying to remember something, and Chief O'Hara's right there, and Batman just starts talking out loud, and he's like, "He strikes at midnight," she said. And O'Hara's like, "We're running out of time." He's like, "Don't interrupt. I'm trying to get into the mind of a serious criminal." I just love it. I love this show so much.
I'm very happy actually that I've really embraced 66 and come around to it, because I think as a Batman fan, if you don't look at the different interpretations and what they did for the character in that point of time, I don't know if you're actually doing yourself a favor. Like I get so upset when fans react because I'm just or say weird things. So I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I love this stuff. I'm happy that this character is so malleable that one director can kind of take this, like even like just the difference between like Nolan, Snyder, and Reeves, or even Burton. Like Burton's got this gothic overtone, whereas Nolan's such the modernized version of Batman, and then Snyder's just this over the top kind of comic book action, and then Reeves has got this new like. What other character really can do that? What character is that malleable that he fits into so many genres?
Well, you got to give credit where credit's due, and without Seduction of the Innocent, then you wouldn't have Batman in Space. You wouldn't have Zebra Batman. You wouldn't have Jungle Batman, because they didn't have anything they could write about. No, there were no elected officials could be corrupt in the comics. Policemen had to be nice, so they couldn't have violence because of the comics code. So what could they do? They had to think way outside of the box. And Batman literally did everything. You had Rainbow Batman. You had Sub-Zero Batman. You had everything under the sun. So
It sounds like an
all,
old Kenner toy line.
yeah. I mean, you might know that one. Yeah. So because he's been in all these situations, you can actually reference it like, well, why can't we do a space Batman? We have 1,000 comics where he goes to space. Why can't we do Batman in his snowsuit? You can do whatever. You're right, though. There's not many characters that I can think of that you can do that with. It's really, I can't even think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, because to be honest, a lot of them have like lanes, and they stay in their lane.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Batman can jump from genre to genre. He switches lanes.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Brave and the Bold cartoon. I mean, it does everything from the 60s that were in the comics. He's off fighting with Blue Beetle, and then he's fighting with Aquaman the next day underwater. But it's great. It's all in how they told the story and the performances. It's really, when Mr. Uslan talks about story first, that's really all it boils down to. When you look at your favorite Batman films, your favorite interpretations.
And I've said this from day one. I'll never say that you can't. Excuse me. You can't do a shared DC universe. I just think you got to do it right. I think you got to write a good story. And that's not. I totally think it can be done. Is it hard to do? Yeah, we've only really seen one. I'm trying to think. Maybe two universe. You got Kevin Smith and his View Askew universe, and then the MCU have done it like effortlessly, right? You've seen others kind of fall and crumble, and now even Transformers is trying to do some kind of shared universe with G.I. Joe. So
that would be great.
It definitely is. The MCU has left its mark on filmmaking, and it's a copycat industry.
Well, I would definitely be more inclined to enjoy the shared universe of DC if it was sans Batman. I like Batman solo or with his own Bat family in Gotham doing that thing. I don't like him having to save the world. I like him saving Gotham.
I'm with you on that. I like Batman dealing with the Justice League being like, why am I here? I have to be at Gotham. You're wasting my time.
Yeah.
I kind of like, he's like, I don't have superpowers. I can't do this. I'm kind of useless here.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Gotham. Like, I kind of remember like Batman with a bit of an edge. Like, all right, here we go. We got this 10:30 meeting. This could have been an email.
Right. I remember one of those earlier episodes of Justice League when they were asked him to like join the team, and he just said, "I'm not really a team player, but if you need some help, you can call me." And then he just takes off, and I'm like, "There you go.
That's Batman. That's
absolutely.
If James Gunn does that in a Batman movie and a Justice League movie, I will stand up and applaud at that very moment." But hey,
man.
It was great talking to you. We've reached the hour mark, so the editor-in-chief has a strict time limit. So,
they're about to pull
Patrick, why don't you plug away before we get a violation?
Okay. If you want to check out some cool music, check out the C Flats on Spotify or Apple or anywhere you listen to music. I've got a new single that's dropping. Actually, that's not a new single. It's a remix and remastered song coming out, and a 10-song album will come out probably late November, early December. And of course,
will it be on iTunes?
Oh yeah, it'll be on iTunes. Absolutely.
All right.
Let me know when it drops. Anywhere. Absolutely. And always Batman on Film.
Yeah. Patrick is a frequent poster in the Facebook group. That's where most of his
never heard of it.
His shenanigans go down. I don't think he's a Twitter guy.
No. I don't do that.
I don't blame you. The less internet friends you had, usually the better.
Dude, I gave it a shot. It wasn't for me.
Hey, that's all. That's all you can say. If you want to follow me and my exploits personally, at Pete Illustrated on Instagram and Twitter. I do another podcast with Eric Colesman, the Champion Long Island. That covers fanboy news from MCU to Masters of the Universe, all that other jazz, DC, all that stuff, all that Eric stuff he likes. Straight Out of Gotham, at straight_O_G on Twitter. If you like Spider-Man, I do a Spider-Man podcast, Spider-Man Coalition. Once a month, I appear on Brian Lauer's Batman Book Club, so I'm there, and I'm all over Batman on Film, arguing with Justin about anything I can, and that's really it. So I'm going to ask Announcer Rachel to take us out, and just want to thank you all for listening to the authoritative, the definitive, the Dadgum Original.
Dadgum Original.
That's right, baby. Tomball, Texas. the original Batman on Film podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the original and official podcast of the Batman on Film website. Follow BOF on Threads at the Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/TheRealBatmanOnFilm. For Jet and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original. Batman on Film, founded in 1998.
Started back in 98, a vision clear as night. Gotham's news and tales of darkened skies. Cakes and cowls, the shadows take their flight. A vigilante's quest in the haunting moonlight. Every page a world of beacon on the net. We're deep in Gotham and we're never done yet. It's Batman on Film, here for you. Through the dark and dawn, we'll pull through. In the shadows, shining bright. Batman on Film, the bat signals light. Breaking stories, villains on the run. Rogues and heroes under Gotham's sun. Reviews and features, hidden tales unpacked. From Batmobiles to bat signals, everything's tracked. For 25 years, keeping score, a fan's fortress forevermore. It's Batman on Film, here for you. Through the dark and dawn, we'll pull through. In the shadows, shining bright. Batman on Film, the bat signals light. With a steady hand, a night crafted for the screen, dedicated to the legend unseen. Batman on Film, here for you. Through the dark and dawn, we'll pull through. In the shadows, shining bright. Batman on Film, the bat signals